Hello. Welcome to yet another Anim Bingo. Welcome to the show tonight. We're just running a little behind. I was fiddling with my audio, and everyone unfortunately had to pay the price for that fiddling. So I'm sorry for waiting, or anyone who was waiting. We have both the camera brothers backstage here. We're gonna bring them in a second. Before we do, just a really quick note that this bingo session is going to be a little different than the previous ones, probably. Well, actually, maybe not. I think that depending on which other bingo sessions you've actually been to, they've kind of slowly morphed into something that's it's got a reasonable format. There's not as many of the animations tonight. We're only going to be looking at 7, so we'll spend a little bit more time talking about them. And you'll see that the bingo god will be calling out typically more bingo terms or more animation bingo terms per animation reviewed, just to kind of speed things up a little bit. So so yeah, that's different, but everything else is more or less the same. You'll notice that there is going to be, if there hasn't been already, a link where you can kind of generate your bingo card. Please do not forget to use your bingo or your in-chat name. You're if you're on Twitch, if you're on wherever you're on, I think most of you are probably on Twitch, but if you're on Facebook or if you're on YouTube, make sure that you actually have, you're using your chat name as the name you put on the bingo card. It makes it a little easier to verify bingos. All right. Some of you have been asking about, what happens when you win. We are recording the winners, and we'll be reaching out to you once all the bingo sessions are over. There is an effort to involve the community on a fun design, like a bit of a contest to design the bingo shirt. So keep an eye open for that. Hopefully, we'll have some news on that next week, where we can talk a little bit about when and how that will actually take place. Okay, and what else? What are we saying here? And wait for Brent before you mark your card. Yeah. So the other thing is, keep in mind that and this is something we always have to explain. The way the bingo works is the animation bingo god is the one. She, who will only be a voice on the show, will be the one making the official calls. Okay, so at the end of every animation, myself and the Pratt brothers will summon her. She will show up in some sort of ethereal eldritch form, apparently, and bless us all with the actual official bingo calls. So those are the ones that you're going to be using to fill out your card. Don't play along and listen to the things that are being said and fill out your own card with your own calls based on what your understanding of the review is. That is not the way to officially make the call. So we needed to kind of focus it and have one person making the official call on what those bingo's terms will be that you'll be using to mark off your card. So please wait. In other words, to sum up, wait for the bingo god. She will be the one. She's the official voice and the master of this ceremony. I guess that's about it. I think I've got it all. So let's bring in the Pratt brothers. I'm sure they are raring to go. I can't imagine anybody else to spend my Friday night with. Here we are, Mr. Cameron and Mr. Bo Pratt. Hello, how are you?
Hello. We're doing well. How are you?
That's good. Not too bad. A little tired today, but not too worse for wear. We had a better layout with us before. Oh yeah, I'll wait till we have the shared screen, because I remember I was like part of the Bo sandwich or part of the Pratt sandwich at one point. We'll do that again. I really enjoyed being the part of the Pratt sandwich, so we'll do that again and see how that goes. So we are gonna be doing it the same way. I think you've already got your screen shared, so
yep.
I don't want to waste any time. We can get right into this. You guys ready to dig into some animation feedback?
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Sweet. You were born for this. I can feel it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, so let's call up the bingo screen or the animation screen here. I'm already part of the sandwich. It's perfect. It was fate. I was always meant to be part of the Pratt sandwich. And then we can do my little clock for added dramatic effect. This is to keep us honest, so we don't go forever and ever, because naturally, we could easily do that. I think we're all guilty. I know I'm definitely guilty of making reviews very long, and I heard some interesting stories when you guys told me how long some of your reviews went or have gone in the past. So I think if we're not careful, we will be here until next year.
I've only done 16 hours of reviews in the last 2 days.
Is that it?
It's not bad.
16 hours. You're such a half miler. Give me a break. Not you're getting a little slow in your old age. Is that the problem?
I
You're
know,
not,
it's
not as
terrible.
limber.
I mean, I did a 12-hour Q&A once in one sitting, 16 hours in 2 days. That's nothing. I'm getting old. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's it. Come on, man. You could do better than that. Okay, so let me just shuffle some things around over on my side here. 1 second. Okay, we got that. And we can do this. And we're going to do this. Okay, that should do the trick. All right, so I think we can start. Where this first animation here is the team name is. It doesn't tell us whether they're solo or duo or trio this time, so we won't be able to tell you that, but we can tell you the team names. This one's Wilson Villa is the person who put this one in. So I think who's driving? Is it Bo?
That's me.
It's Bo. Okay, all right.
And
so
I
drive
believe
away,
Wilson
driver.
Villa was on the solo team, if I remember.
Oh
correctly.
wow, you're good. Wow, look at you, like photographic memory or something.
I was actually watching him animate. He was streaming this, which was really cool.
Oh,
really cool.
Nice. Okay, there was a few people that were doing that. So they were streaming live while they were making it. That's cool.
Yeah. So ready to hit play?
Oh yeah, giddy up. Let's do this. Oh man, that's nice.
Yeah,
Great
that's the
emotion.
part I jumped into when he was streaming. Is that impact?
Right.
And it was so much fun just to watch him working on it.
So good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Oh, he almost had it, and you know, he was so close to getting that animation challenge potion. Just didn't quite make it.
Awesome.
That's pretty cool.
So,
who wants to
You want
start?
to start the timer?
Lots of talk. Oh yeah, good idea. Go.
So the first thing that I really love just about this is this little detail of the potion bouncing off of the wall right here.
Yeah,
it's not necessary. They could have just had the potion fall through and just spin, but it adds such a nice kind of dynamic interaction to the environment.
It foreshadows nicely what's going to happen to the character.
Exactly.
Too, right? It's nice. So like it kind of telegraphs that, oh wow, like that's dangerous. What happens if she bang?
Yeah.
Yeah. I also love the sense of weightlessness. That's something that's very difficult to convey.
Yep. Yeah. Not easy.
And the way she reaches, and you can feel that there's no control over the direction of her body. It feels really nice. It really, like this part here with the legs kind of kicking out. It really does convey that sense of
it feels like she's falling through space and not through air. Where you'd have some sort of resistance.
The interesting thing too, like if you've ever seen anybody deal with weightlessness, like if you've watched enough footage of people in the space station or what have you, you'll notice that what's really interesting, and this must take quite a bit of training to get good at this, the idea that pretty much moving any part of your body too quickly will create momentum, because it's that mass. You start to move it, but then that mass has got momentum, and therefore there's sort of inertia that can then tug at the rest of the body in a direction, right? So when you tuck your knees in really quickly, I mean, this happens on Earth, right? You see gymnasts do this all the time on the top of a jump. They tuck their knees into the top of the jump to get a little extra air, or to help spin. Like there's like you can get angular momentum out of that, even linear momentum out of that. So but in space, it has a much bigger, much more obvious impact, rather than just like prolonging sort of hang time, so that gravity kind of has, you can defeat it for a little bit longer. Here, it's not about just defeating gravity. It's about creating like what are the only forces that you are actually experiencing, because gravity is just not there. So it's cool. I feel like you did this animator did do a very good job kind of convincingly portraying that, which is fun.
Yeah. One thing I would love to see right here, just it's really in this moment here, as the character reacts and is kind of in this pose here, it almost feels like the pivot point is like right in the center there, and it almost feels like the character is held in a harness. I agree. I feel like there should be some sort of like slight momentum and spin,
some yaw
from that point. Exactly, some yaw in there, some yaw.
Like that's true.
It's especially during this reaction, like you were saying, because she's moving, there's going to be some sort of physicality in there, even if it's slight.
There's a cause and effect. The cause and effect relationship is very real in this, because of that weightlessness, is that like everything will cause some sort of effect. And
Yeah.
there's consequence to literally every kind of movement, especially a broad, quick movement like these.
And then kind of similarly, when she gets hit here, as she floats out, there's a little bit of this where as she's floating, the arm is offset from the body spinning.
Yeah.
And you're getting this kind of like slow rotation of the arm.
Yeah.
I feel like if she's been knocked out, there would be a little bit more of that later on. She kind of hits this pose and just
totally agree.
locks.
Yeah, that was the one thing out of this entire animation that actually stuck out as something that I didn't really like so much. Is it felt like they just either stopped animating before they were out of the shot. There really needs to be that ragdoll kind of feeling, and the ragdoll would be all these different body parts just sort of like kind of going off in their own different directions, and then because of that, you would have to experiment with like, okay, so you have a leg that kind of reaches its maximum position, and then it might start to pull the body in a different direction, and then there's another arm that starts to do the same kind of thing, and then it pulls it in a different direction. But there would be, it just feels like she freezes there, and she's just in a frozen pose, other than maybe a little bit of that arm, like you said.
Yeah.
I think
and
another thing.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
The other thing just along that line is the way she hits. She hits here and then spins around. The way she's spinning, especially here, feels like her torso would be bending backwards this way. And I think that would help give that limp feeling, having the body kind of like splayed out outwards, rather than as she goes, she kind of tucks into this like seated pose. And the silhouette here is not as clear because you get like this L shape. And then it then kind of locks off that way. But if you kind of spread out the pose a little bit to give that feeling of being knocked out and limp, rather than tucking in and curling inwards.
I think there's another thing that's bugging me about that ending as well, is that the spinning of that, like the rotation, that's the primary axis of movement that we're seeing there in the end, where the characters are sort of spinning out of control out of the shot. I feel like it feels a bit too like it's all happening from her hips, but I think that there would probably be like more of a center of mass thing where she would be rotating around that, and I think that's not that, in combination with the sort of the lack of looseness in all the limbs is sort of makes it feel a little bit unnatural.
And I think there's one more thing on her specifically that I'm seeing is if she hit this wall right here, or this outcrop, that would significantly slow down her momentum.
Good point.
Compared to the sphere, which has not hit anything.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Directly on head on. So here you can tell that she's kind of falling behind a little bit, but I would expect it to be more. So
that would be a cool dynamic moment.
By over here, like she's just like this tiny speck, like way off, because you're still following the sphere or the potion, and she's kind of like fallen behind.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point.
Because she just kind of keeps the same scale, pretty much from here onwards.
It's a cool idea. Like I'd be curious. I'm always mystified by the way that people's brains think. They're like, okay, so I'm not too sure where the giant comes in here. Maybe like
that's the giant space station.
I guess so. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. But it's interesting that you hear giant space potion and you're like, oh yeah, this is what I'll do. It's like, I mean, I don't know how that, like, what a cool opportunity to have some person flying through space, try to capture this potion that's got Animation Challenge logo on it, and then, it gets totally knocked out as they slam into the side of the space station. It's like, who came up with that narrative? Where did it come from? Like, it seems so random, but also just so interesting.
And so creative.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's funny because these are the kind of things these are the kind of shots that I love, because it's like a celebration of, like, it's like truly using animation for what it was meant for, right? It's like, what would that that sounds interesting. What does that look like? And then you animate it and they're like, I guess it looks like this. And I think that, like, it's as opposed to just like something that's typical or run for the mill. Is that even a
run of the mill?
Run of the mill. Yeah. Run for the mill. My brain's not awake.
I
yet.
just have one more note. I know we're already
do it. Yeah, no, we're good. We're good. One last one.
This is something that stood out to me because I looked away just as on the first playthrough. I looked away and then back. Yeah. And when I looked back, I saw this and I thought, I didn't realize there was a big spaceship in the background.
Oh yeah.
Because once it leaves the silhouette of the space station,
Yeah.
you lose all sense of scale.
Yeah.
It could be a massive spaceship in the background. It could be something small. When it's on her, you can see the scale, but the further it moves away from her, the more you lose that scale.
Yeah.
So that's something to be careful
Maybe
of.
keep it smaller in there. Yeah.
One last little thing here too is I remember there was speaking of which, I mean, this is just getting kind of picky, but like the angle that she hits, like right here, I'm unsure as to how that gun ends up, like back to the idea of like, how does she keep up with this bottle here?
Yeah.
You know, maybe hitting it maybe a little more like a glance. Rather, right now it feels like her whole upper body is kind of getting stuck behind this big wall here,
cracking in
which
half.
would be kind of like pretty damaging. And that gun then would probably just get left back there, maybe just swirling around. I don't know how you get from that pose to the gun somehow keeping up and like somehow magically appearing from behind the wall there. I mean, I'm being a bit of a picky douche there, but I mean, at the same time, you know, it's still a thing that I would be lying if I didn't think about on the second playthrough. Okay, wicked, nice work. I think we agreed that we have to do a dab to get the bingo god this time. All right, so here, hold on a second.
Is there a countdown?
Bingo god, please bless us. Bless us here in this holy sanctuary of animation bingo. Please show up.
It worked.
Reverence.
That brought a tear to my eye. Okay, so first calls of the day, and people might have noticed there's a different square on your card, possibly. And we do have, for that square, it's a free call if it is on your card. So you might have on your card, you might not. But the first call of the day, and it has nothing to do with the shot, but some people in chat will know it, is chest.
Free spot.
I'll never live that down.
If you have that spot, it's all yours. You can fill it out right now. If you don't, well, wasn't your day.
Okay, on to the normal calls. I think
Sweet.
for this one we can call, I know it says feeling the weight, but rather I think for this it'd be feeling the weightlessness, which works with the environment
Totally.
of the shot. So we can call that one. And the other one that we can call is where's the overlap for the final part of the shot where the character needs to be ragdolling a bit more. So those are the calls, folks.
Nice.
And we can get back to our animation reviews.
The bingo god has spoken. You may now go back to the shadows of this realm until you are called upon once again. All right, so next one up is Arachnid. Arachnid what?
Arachnid final.
Keeps
Richmond.
picking. Oh yeah,
Whitfield.
Arachnid's final. Richmond Whitfield. Yeah, sure. I don't know why I can't speak tonight, but apparently it's not part of my skill set. Okay, let's drive.
Actually, before we jump into this, there is one thing, because I don't think we mentioned this. For anyone who's new, all of these animations here were done in 24 hours. So like we're nitpicking on a lot of these things.
Yeah.
Oh, the overlap should be pushed. Oh, look what's missing here and there. This was literally animated in a day. So
That's
a
not
lot
an
of these
excuse.
notes are
I'm playing bad cop tonight. That's not an excuse.
a lot of these notes are what, if you had the time, what could be added? Not so much like, oh, they did this wrong and they should feel bad about it. Because animating something like this in 24 hours is a huge success.
Totally.
On its own.
Yeah, it's like for us when we decided to start doing these reviews, it was more just because we're just using it as a body of evidence to talk about animation. Even though, like, I'm sure you know someone who did this in 24 hours, we pick on small little details like guns going through walls. I'm sure that makes people grit their teeth a little bit, especially if you're the one who animated it. So yeah, we get it. By the way, if I'm bad cop and who's I guess that's Bo is the good cop. What's Cameron? Is neutral cop or
I'm the
interdimensional cop? Okay, we'll see.
It could go either way.
Exactly. It's a random cop. He flip flops all over the place. We never know what you're gonna get.
There you go.
So let's give it a whirl. Let's see what we got here.
I love the design of him.
Yes.
Nice. some reason it makes me think of like an 80s wizard, like
Yeah,
Flight of
totally.
Dragons style wizard. I don't know why.
I think it's the robes and the style of the beard.
Oh yeah.
Back in the
That's
80s,
good
they used to
one.
do the non-distinct robes.
Nice.
Very nice.
So
It's fun. I think that let me jump in really first quick. So
do you want to start the timer?
oh
and
yeah,
stop
man.
the timer first.
What would I do without you guys? I was actually better at this last night. I swear to God. Ask the girls. I was doing better, but tonight I don't know. It's something. I feel like maybe I'm just too distracted by having the Pratt brothers here with me. I get enamored and I get distracted. And okay, so let's see here. I think that. So I think there's a lot of interesting things going on, but I think, and we saw this a little bit last night with Jacob, where we had some staging issues when it comes to having a story in your head and then telling that story on screen. It's like you always have to think about each one of the shots that you choose have to have a specific message that tells part of the story you're trying to tell. So sometimes it's a matter of maybe sometimes you're missing a shot here or there and there's some holes in the sort of the visual storytelling. Sometimes it may be not super clear on what you're actually trying to say in a particular story. So I'll be the first one to admit that, like, I get the basic idea. I feel like what was happening here, let me just slow it down. Let me see if I get it. So it kind of happens fast. So there's like this little gnome like wizard character who comes over. This bigger character turns around, and it looks like he gets ready to step on him. But I guess where I get a little bit confused is that like you've established how close they are here staging wise, and then we cut, and then suddenly it's just him here. And it feels, first of all, it feels weird that he's like so crowding this side here when he should probably be kind of over on this third here somewhere. I'm drawing with a mouse, so that's my caveat for tonight. Of course, I would probably say that even if I had my pen in my hand, because I suck. But then there's this shot here where this is where I think I get lost. I feel like because you've established a certain spatial relationship between these characters, when I get here, it's like I get confused as to like is there a foot coming down on him here? You know, like, and I get a little bit lost in the story. It looks like he then disappears, and he's in some sort of like magical realm, and then there's some sort of purple fireball, and I guess he's summoning some sort of like big purple vortex to kill everybody in there. I'm not sure. Like, it looks like he gets big. I guess right here he grows in size. I don't know. It's something about the staging. It kind of throws me off just because of the way that those things cut. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, I would say the same. I don't know what's going on personally. And like you said, the staging is not quite working. Another thing that doesn't work for me is you start off with this establishing shot, and all the characters, in terms of like a perspective grid, they're all sitting fairly nicely on that grid. Though the big guy kind of just appears. So that's kind of odd.
True. Yeah, boom.
And all of the elements also seem off from each other, because if you go through frame by frame, he gets up, and then what happens is background changes, but the fire is still there, but the people are also still there. And then like 3 or 4 frames later, then it changes. So the background to characters and other elements are not lined up properly. I think it happens again here.
Yeah, right there.
So it switches, and then the character switches. So making sure your elements are synced up with each other so they're not offset is going to help a lot in terms of clarity.
Exactly.
But yeah, it doesn't read well. Like you said, like if you had the other character's foot like over here or something.
Yeah.
So again,
just
keeping that
the
left and right screen space.
Exactly. Trying to keep them spatially relatively the same distance apart once you've established that. So it's also not helping that some of these frames are very dark like this, where you kind of lose like in it's a little harder to, I mean, this probably just came down to not having enough time to fill out, maybe with some digital kind of ink and paint, so that they weren't they were more than just a line drawing. It makes it difficult to see them, you know. They start to fall up, they fall into the background, and it's just, I feel like this whole thing is plagued with clarity issues, although the idea is fun and it's got a cute, like there's a cute narrative there. And just that it's on first viewing, it's difficult to get the whole thing.
Yeah. And then just on that note I was saying before about the perspective grid, I feel like after that first shot, the other shots don't quite line up with perspective. Like this character doesn't feel like he matches the perspective of the background.
Yeah, he should be like
And
a
then-
3-point perspective.
Yeah, and then same with here. It's like you can see the ground is like this, but he's standing flat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like as
He
if we're looking
should-
straight on, or like as
Yeah.
if our
Yeah.
camera's like on the floor because we don't see any like depth. We don't see the tops of his feet, where we
Yeah,
definitely
no.
see the top of the table.
Yeah, you'd see like the top edge of his hat here.
Yeah.
You'd see like the top rim of it. Also, I'm drawing with a mouse because Brent
Sure.
said he did. So.
Yeah. Mhm. Actually, I can hear your clicking, so you have a good alibi.
Great. I'm the only one using a tablet, and my drawings are going to be the worst to
No
watch.
pressure, buddy. No pressure. They better be amazing.
And actually, just as I was framing through this, I didn't realize this was a potion at first.
I was going to
Yeah.
say the same thing. I
thought
only
it was just
realized
like
it was
a
a potion
magical
when you were
ball.
scrubbing through.
Yeah, because I was wondering throughout the entire thing, like, where's the potion? I didn't actually realize this was the potion, and it looks like he inhales it through his nostril.
It does look like that. I wonder if that's what is supposed to be happening. Pretty funny. Poof.
I think one note that I had is right at the beginning here, is right off the bat. There's, like you mentioned, the character coming in and kind of popping in right there.
Bing.
But another element is there's very little time at the beginning to see the relationship between the characters and who are we actually supposed to be looking at. So when I saw this shot at the start, I actually thought this character was going to
Sure.
be the main character because
sure.
it's the one character
The
that we
color.
can actually see. Yeah, the color and the eyes.
Yeah.
Everyone else, it's a helmet. He's got his eyes closed.
Are
The
those
dragons
eyes though?
are.
I keep looking at that. I'm trying to interpret. Like it looks like the person's sitting at the table and they've got eyes in the back of their head, or like, do you know what I mean? Like I've since we started talking about this animation, I've this is the one thing that's been for some reason.
I
I've
kind of
been
imagine like
tormented
it's
by
like
this.
a cat. Like
Totally. I get it, but like it also feels like I don't know. Why
If
would
there-
they
it could
sit
be the
back
back
of the
of his
picnic
head.
table? I don't know.
yeah, you would almost need like an arm kind of like there as they're like leaning against the
Yeah.
table, or like even
Yeah.
little feet kind of
Yeah.
sticking out.
Yeah.
And just to kind of give clarity on which direction this character is actually facing.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it could just be dots on the back of, well, actually, let's just do this. If I hide
that's it.
those,
Now the character's definitely
now
now
they're looking the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but it's why, like you said, my attention is drawn to that character because they have color on them, and everybody, the most important characters in the scene that are moving don't. And now I get it logistically. Obviously, it was easier to color one frame of all these characters and all these other characters that are animated. Of course, that's a lot more coloring. So, but I mean, I guess the message, the thing to take away here is that when you're dealing with something like a 24-hour challenge, and like we're professional animators are always in the same situation, right? There's going to be a time where you're like, oh my God, I have how much time to get this shot done? And it just happens sometimes. It's an emergency. Someone else, like you inherited it, this hot potato, and you need to get it done. And so you have to, like, it all comes down to thinking about what the shot is, what are the most core, like what are the core things that you have to nail, and then scoping what it is you try to accomplish accordingly, right? Like don't cut corners on things that may actually end up making the whole thing not super clear. You have to kind of like, so I don't know, maybe doing it in 2D, maybe this is the only way you know how to animate, maybe 2D was the only way, but of course the consequence of doing something 2D is that like this is the problem. Maybe you could have just done everything with line drawing and just had a whole, like, just like a pencil test, and then at least that way everyone would have been on the same level, and like and everyone would have not, you wouldn't be competing with the sake that some of the characters were all filled in with color and some of them were not. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Just a thought.
I think the last note that I would have on, kind of in a similar note, is the most important thing with any shot really is the story. That the audience gets a sense of a beginning, a middle, and an end, and they've been brought along on this adventure, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And if the backgrounds, if these extra elements are not servicing the story and are actually taking it away, we don't really need it. We could keep this as just these two characters, and there's a park bench. and you
Yeah.
would get the entire story without any of the other elements in there.
Remove the other noise. Exactly.
Yeah.
Focus in on the most important, like the most essential, and everything else.
Mhm.
Just especially when you don't have the time, get rid of it. There's no.
Yeah.
It's just a waste of time that you don't already have. So just focus in on the things that are important. Yeah, that's good advice. Okay, so we're gonna officially dab now. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm waiting for you guys. You guys are leading this.
Okay. There you go. 1, 2. There you go.
I don't even know how to dab properly. Am I doing it right?
Well, I
I'm too
think
much of. I'm
I
too
think
much
you're
of a
supposed to
dab.
put
Into
your
the crook of
arm
the
in the
arm.
corner.
Like this.
Yeah.
Like that.
Into
Alright.
the nook.
Into the nook of the shoulder. All right, this is a master class in dabs. I'm glad I get to do this in front of everybody in the public sphere.
It's a good learning experience
It is
when
good.
you're in
It's
front
good.
of everyone.
It's only fair if we if we're if we're breaking down these animations that are like personal property and the hard work of other people, the least I can do is embarrass myself in front of everybody and show that I have no idea how to properly dab. So, oh, is she here? Are you here? Oh, she's there.
If it is bingo calls you seek, in rhymes I shall speak. We are calling unclear narrative because a clear story is imperative.
Why are we whispering?
If she does it in rhyme, she'll have to do it all the time.
Oh, hold on. There you go. The thing about the animation bingo god that you don't understand, everybody, is that it's completely unpredictable. She will she comes in and we have no control over her, to be honest with you. She shows up and she whispers sometimes she cackles like a witch. I think it's just she likes to keep us all on our toes because the fear the unpredictable, right? Okay, so I guess are we ready to do the next one?
Yep. Let me know if the audio is the right levels for you.
Okay.
Oh, that's dark.
It's got a tragic ending.
Nice. Let's play one more time. And
Yeah.
just to say, because I think we forgot to say it, this was done by Team Lasagna.
Yeah.
I like the squash in the face there.
Yeah. The chin kind of wrapping up.
Yeah.
Wrong place, wrong time. I guess for that guy. So there's a lot of things to unpack here. Who wants to go first?
Well, I can go first, and it's going to be an odd note, but it's something that I feel is something to keep in mind, especially when you're going into the industry and especially looking for jobs. So, for example, if this shot was going to be on a reel, and you want to start the timer?
Oh, Jesus. Yes. Yes, I can.
Is the end shot here? It's quite a dark shot. Like we're seeing him, his eyes are rolled back. He looks dead, and it's kind of dark.
Implied that he is.
He's being boiled alive. Which, to me, I don't mind dark stuff. Doesn't bother me at all. Some people might be bothered by this. So what I would do is just turn them over, have them floating face down. This way, you're not seeing the dead face, and it becomes less of a impactful.
It's less morbid. It's less
exactly.
Morbid. It could be it's dark humor, but for some reason, seeing the dead face, the dead eyes of a person somehow makes it a bit too much.
Yeah,
I agree.
Exactly. And it's something that I see a lot with demo reels. When I'm reviewing demo reels, you'll have people who have shots of really dark moments. They'll have funerals or characters who are vomiting or things like that. Things that are for some people don't mind at all. Others, it's very traumatic, especially a funeral element.
Yeah.
That can really mess people up.
Yeah, never underestimate the difference that everybody has with regards to their own personal experience with death.
Yeah.
Because death
Yes.
is a very private, very personal thing, and some people they have different attitudes towards it. So I think when you're dealing with death, you need to be thoughtful about how to do it, and especially if you're trying to do. I think the key here is that you're doing it in a humoristic way, or at least that's what I think you're trying to do, because it's sort of like there's this big payoff of no one knows what's happening, and then next you know it's like it's kind of almost over the top that like that's the tragic end, right? But it's rather than like going to the point where we see the dead face, it leaves that sort of possibly humor sort of realm, and it starts to enter into something a bit not, and then it just can be kind of unsettling. Yeah, exactly.
And if this was a show for like yes, this is a dark show. We know that going in, it's going to be like Game of Thrones. Horrible things are going to happen. Yeah. But you go in with that expectation. If this was seen like, hey, we're just watching this on a like YouTube and checking it out. If you're not expecting it, it can be. Yeah, exactly. And I've seen people watch a shot like that, and it really affected them in a bad way because of that. So just something to be aware of for anyone who's doing shots like this.
Nothing would suck more than having a really nice animated reel and then for some getting kind of panned for an emotional reason. Like that's
exactly.
There's no point. I'd say the same thing about let's be careful about like touchy subjects, right? Like race, religion. These are things that need to be very, very carefully dealt with. And I mean, if you're comedians, they always play that thin line all the time, and it's that uncomfortable space that they work within that makes a lot of their stuff really, really funny. And without that kind of training or experience, you might fall flat, really flat, potentially.
Yeah. And even then, with comedians, if they were applying for a professional job, they might not get it because of the type of comedy they do.
Very, very true. Yeah, they might be associated with a type of comedy that say Disney is going to be like, nope.
There was one note I wanted to mention, which is at the end here. One, along with like you guys had mentioned, floating upside down would make it just better. The way the arm is here next to the head is pretty much exactly the same as it is here. So it almost feels like they just took this end pose and just like translated them and put them in the water, and then just moved a few body parts. So making sure the pose is like different enough that it doesn't feel like, why is the hand there? Yeah. But I think turning the entire thing over would work a lot better.
So I'm going to double down on this morbid ending here and talk. Seeing that it's there, I will comment on it as well. It doesn't look like someone who would be floating. I think one of the things you'll notice is like there's a kind of a cliche sort of depiction of a dead body floating in the water, and more often than not, they're turned over. And I think there's probably, if we had a forensic scientist in here, they could probably tell us why, but it has probably a lot to do with just like parts of this is going to get really morbid, but like parts, the physical properties of a body, then why, what parts float, right?
Well, it's actually not that complicated, because the torso is the place filled with lungs and air.
Exactly.
Your head is solid bone. Your arms are solid bone and muscle. So
and they all go forward.
Your body naturally comes forward. It's hard to go backwards like this. So when you're in the water, you will roll over and your arms and legs will hang down, and so will your head. And your body, which is the buoyant part.
You need to stop. You know way too much about this.
Our dad was a paramedic, so we learned a lot.
Oh, wow. Okay, jeez.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, the point being here is if you're going to do it, do your homework so that at least it looks correct. Like the people float, and dead or not dead, people float based on buoyancy. Like, I mean, that's a good point. The lungs are one of the most, the chest cavity is essentially a big pocket of air when you breathe in. It's actually pretty interesting. I've done a lot of scuba diving in my life, and it's very interesting controlling your breathing in a way that gives you, changes your buoyancy, right? So like when you're underwater and you take a deep breath, you will definitely start to go up. Because if you've because you're usually wearing some sort of a BCD, which is a buoyancy control device, when you get neutrality, which is what you're usually aiming for when under the water, so that way you can swim around and sort of like wherever you start to swim towards, you'll go. You're not fighting against buoyancy, but the one thing that does fluctuate is, of course, your lungs. So it's an interesting kind of feeling of like how you float in water, and so you want to maybe do a little bit of homework so that it ends up feeling a bit more correct.
Or even just have the shoe floating. Like you don't even have to show the body, just a shoe and like the bandana, and then that's
yeah,
it.
that would work too.
Yeah.
And also, just on that note about like, do your reference, and everyone in the chat is going,
really,
"Oh, the horror."
Really quick, one sec. Can I just a quick request?
Yes.
Can we mute it so that when you're scrubbing, it's because when I find that when you guys are talking, it's hard to hear you.
I am muted. Let's see.
So maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just on my side. Oh, interesting.
Mute
Okay,
others.
yeah, I see it's
How's
muted
that?
now. Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
But yeah,
It might have just been me.
what everyone in the chat is going like, "Oh, the horror," having to look up for a reference of dead bodies. Maybe don't go to Google and look up dead floating bodies.
Don't do
Maybe
that.
look up movies. Like go to movies.
Exactly.
Look at
Exactly.
movies
Or
with-
just Warner Brothers. Like how
Yes,
often,
Warner
how many
Brothers.
times has Bugs Bunny been sitting in a pot of soup? Like
yes,
something like that for that humor.
yes. Look up references of movies and TV shows.
Yeah,
You don't have to go straight
they've
to the
depicted.
actual stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Although I will say that when people who've worked in VFX, I've done some pretty dark research in the past. Especially if you work on like a horror or sci-fi movie, there's some pretty weird rabbit holes you'll find yourself going down. It's not for the weak of heart, that's for sure. For the faint of heart. Man, my sayings are all broken tonight. They're always like a little bit like one word off. Run for the mill, weak for the heart. Jeez. Look, I mean, this. Let me just really quickly just jump in here on this one. One of the most interesting areas, and I think this has already been touched on here, is this little spot right here. I just think it's a cool moment. But there's something about the relationship between this thumb and the head. It floats a little bit, slips all over the place right here, and it stops feeling like that thumb is what's actually pushing the character down, and that wouldn't be an easy thing to get right, but that's what you're doing. You chose to do it, so I think you could probably do a little bit better and try to nail it. Yeah,
it almost feels like an old style movie where they have the thumb super close to the camera, and they're just trying to fake it.
It's exactly. It's like a
It
Ray
doesn't feel like
Harryhausen
it's actually
film.
touching.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally,
Adventures of Sinbad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was like that slip because there isn't that actual contact. But we obviously, nowadays when you're animating 3D, you have the ability to make that, rock solid. So
yeah,
and it's also the way that the arms interact with the bottle. It's like they do some weird things here. Yeah, I don't know.
And
it's
just
not
as
an
he's
easy
being
thing.
pushed down, his arms are kind of like going all over the place with the IK.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly. Like exactly what right there. I mean, I think you would have been probably better off of like leaving those arms, coming them off much earlier. Maybe what would have been interesting here is as he was being pushed down, he might try to push up with his hands against the thumb, and that would have put his arms in a better spot and a better pose to actually fit down that. These are the kind of things like I feel like often animation is like it's like playing chess. You need to know where you want to go. And you need to think of like several steps ahead, because sometimes, something like this constraint right here and how awkward that'll be getting those arms in that opening. You need to be like, well, that should be part of the that should work its way into my thinking, my thought process on what the character would be doing on the way down into that bottle. So, hindsight's 2020, obviously, and when you're just sort of probably straight aheading this whole thing for the 24-hour challenge, but it might not have occurred to you, right? You didn't have the time to really kind of really think that through, but
at this point, is hindsight 2021?
Ooh,
no. I think those are my main.
No.
I
think Bo just died a little bit inside. That's amazing.
It's terrible. I have to live with him. It's every day.
Oh man. God bless you.
I think those are my main notes for this, honestly. Everything else actually feels good. Like we were talking about composition in the other one. This one, the composition I feel works really well and tells a really good story.
Yeah. No, I agree. Okay, let's do the official dab. Here we go. Here it comes. Animation Bingo God, you have been summoned.
Are you going to do that every single time?
Do what?
I
don't know what you're talking about.
We don't have a call for Cameron info dumping about dead bodies, so we'll just put that on the shelf. But we are going to call soft contact for the thumb and try to not think too hard about the earlier conversation.
It's a good idea.
There's
We'll just have
also
to-
this could be the part where we might get with some people who might get some bingos soon, either this one or next call. So, folks, if you get a bingo, let us know in chat. Tabby will take care of you and get it sorted.
It's happening. Okay, this one is by Anim Challenge _ Lazy Lion.
Okay, let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
Nice.
I like that helmet design at the end there.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And props for being 2D animation. That's
Yeah,
always always a challenge.
Really nice.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So who wants to
Timer?
get started on this one?
Whoever wants to go can go. Not me.
So I think my first note, just looking at this, the thing that stood out to me is the anatomy. One of the big hurdles about doing 2D animation is you have to draw it. And if you're not the strongest at anatomy, trying to do like more realistic bodies tends to kind of fall apart in terms of the composition and anatomy. Like the arms here and the body structure, like the shoulders and everything, just feels a bit odd. And this goes throughout the entire shot where like here it's not bad, but it's like this is a very different body than this one. This is a lot thicker body. And then like the arms here are very different than these ones, like in terms of thickness. So it's really about if you want to do 2D animation and you're not the strongest at realistic anatomy, try to simplify it, try to do maybe a little more cartoony, a little more stylized to help avoid that kind of issue that you would run into.
Yeah,
I think that would
Adventure
be my
Time's a good
note.
example of that,
Yes.
where like you have Ice King, where like he's super skinny and like bony, but it's still a simplified design. Let's see. The note that I would have is kind of just in terms of staging and kind of getting an idea of where the character is located. It would be nice to show some sort of not a full environment, but just a hint of where they are. So, for example, here when I first saw this shot, I assumed it was like a character that may be sitting on or like on their knees. They're at gunpoint. They've been caught. And then on the next shot, we see the potion, and then suddenly there's a chain. But where's the chain attached to?
Yeah.
And then in the next shots, where are they? These people look like they're dressed for like winter, like heavy clothing. So are they outside? But then again, where is that chain linked up to? I would almost say that you could just get rid of the chain. Like that you don't need this at all. And you would still get that same story. And the environment then becomes, well, they're just anywhere.
The chain is also a bit odd in terms of perspective because the links here are really large and then these ones are very small. So is the chain going like straight this way or is it like going towards?
I think that's just the way the chain
direction?
is built. The chain is built with smaller links, the closer it gets to the head.
Yeah, that could be
that
too.
could also be. It could honestly be, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah. I think the idea here is that people start to fill in their own ideas to what the environment is in not necessarily a good way. I think that you want to make sure that people are properly established and understand the set. Otherwise, they kind of start getting distracted with trying to understand some of the details. I mean, one thing I really like about this is there's something about the transformation moment that I really like. There's like these what you're doing with the camera. I love the fact that you only see like you only see his chest and something comes up and then you see it like the cup drop. And then there's like this rippling thing that happens. Like there's something really cool about all that. Unfortunately,
very visceral.
Yeah, it's like, and it's just it's a lot of really cool things. Like it feels very
like
anime
best.
that moment. In the best of ways. And I think that
Mhm.
one thing though that's working against you is because it's just these thin line drawings, that some of the stuff is a bit difficult to read because I don't see the silhouettes. Silhouettes would be really important, like using value to be able to like understand like the shapes that are happening in front of the camera. But because there's just a bunch of lines, I lose my bearing on it. So I think if you were to fill it out and have some like kind of filled out opaque, sort of like what you have in that shadow. There's like a shadow moment where you filled out right there. There's a shadow coming in. Like if everything had some sort of at least just a basic value to it without worrying about color, that would, I think I would be able to read a lot of this stuff a bit better. Something that's already quite good would be even cooler and more readable, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I also just love this moment where the glass is cracking right there.
Exactly.
That's such a cool little detail. And then the next time we see it, it's just shattered.
So yeah.
I would actually say I would love to have like just a shot of the glass shattering.
Yeah.
Like that would be super cool to see. Just because you have it cracked there and then like you get just a moment of like
I think the ending kind of really needs to have, I feel like it would be, I want to see where, like, is the idea that they all took off because they're like, screw this, I don't get paid enough for this, and they left? Or are they like
people there?
Yeah, like exactly. Like it would be cool, an opportunity to be able to show a sense of scale, but you would have also needed to show and establish how large, or like what the size differential was at the beginning, so you can appreciate the ending. Because all the stuff you're doing on the transformation, I get the feeling that the character's growing, but it's hard to really know because unless you see it relative to anything else, you have no idea, you have no way to measure, right? So I would have started with at least having an establishing shot showing all of them, maybe just a very, very like wide angle shot that's just pushing in ever so slightly rather than this one. I think it could have been, you could have set up things like maybe it's like a Russian winter and all these characters are like Russian military and you have this big Russian tank and that's what the character's chained to. You just have this scene and you're like, what the hell's going on here? And then you cut to this and it's like, you see the gun is mentioning, kind of motioning downwards, and then you cut to see that, it looks like they want him to consume something, and we don't really know what that is. But like, there's just by having that, at least that one shot where you see them. Yeah, exactly. This is perfect. You see this creature, but with those people with the guns as well, establishes exactly all of the things that you would need to really tell the whole story. And this is just one frame, just one shot that you would have needed. Also, this is just a really petty thing to pick on, but it's driving me crazy that there's no perspective on the barrel of these guns. They're just squared ends. They don't have any round ellipses or anything like that. So,
some sort of established shot would be really cool, just to set up the scene, set up like just you were saying, like that Russian winter. When I see this, that's the same feeling I was getting. It's like I could just hear the wind and the snow blowing across like the tundra, and it's just like really cool. Just maybe even like shivering in the cold.
Exactly. It is. I don't know if you guys saw. If I don't know anybody in chat if you were around during the 24-hour challenge, it was a really good conversation between Jacob Gardner and Andrew Gordon. And I really like the subject a lot that came up in that conversation. The subject of specificity. Specificity means that you're like when you're animating something, when you're telling a story, you have to remember that it's being generic with the storytelling is not the way to go. You want to be like, there's a lot of things that could be quite specific, but you kind of need to go all the way with really making a full statement on like, this is the story, like don't leave some, like establish it in a way that, you could always leave a little bit of room for interpretation, but I think by being a bit more specific and telling like a bit more about the scene, it would help us understand and get more into what's actually going on. And the specificity, it gives you gives you a meat on the bone to dig your teeth into. It's way more interesting for you as an animator because you're telling a story that has a very real, like it's nothing's by chance. You're making decisions, very specific ones, and you're animating towards those decisions as opposed to letting it be a little bit too loose.
Yeah. Sure. I think I just have one last note.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is at the very end, I feel like the composition, we kind of lose it a little bit. We've got our eyes kind of focused in this area, and then as it cuts, it is causing us to like have to jump over here. My eyes keep wanting to jump over, I'm assuming it's a moon, over to the moon because it's closer to where my eyes used to be.
Did you turn on all the drawings or something?
Yeah, I just ghosted it there.
Okay.
And then the other thing is the camera move. you've got these really quick motions, just cut, 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 which is really nice. It creates this chaotic feeling. But then it cuts here, and the camera starts slow, and then speeds up and slows down, which kind of feels weird. It's not so bad that it's slowed down, but the fact that it's slowed down only to speed up again, kind of, it almost breaks it a little bit. I think you could just cut and have the camera do a slow pan or a slow zoom out.
Yeah. or picking up on the energy of all those cuts and maybe have it start right away fast and then settle in, so that what's weird is that the fact that you cut to this and it's already static and then it accelerates and then decelerates. I think that's the issue. As a matter of fact, shots should typically never do that, in my opinion. I think it's always weird when a camera feels like it starts and then stops, because it makes it feel like someone's like hitting okay, hit record, you know, as opposed to when you're filming something, you want the camera to feel like it's always got momentum and it's always there. It was there before we were looking through the lens. It was sort of always kind of there capturing the whole thing. We just happen to be behind the lens and seeing what it sees. So I think that you always want to avoid camera moves that are like, I think whenever possible, that start static, build up to speed, and then slow down again. It feels too A to B.
Agreed.
Unless, of course, you're tracking a character.
Yeah, of course. I mean, exactly. Okay, dab time. Oh, I just. That's where I'm going to go. Oh, come on, get with the program, buddy.
Of course.
All right, dab. I can't. I can't dab. I didn't realize until now.
Well, it goes to the corner of the elbow, not the shoulder.
What? Oh, like this? God, I feel like it's like a train wreck. Oh God, I'm so old. Okay,
Brent,
well,
you're improving.
No, thanks. That means a lot to me. Thank you for that. Very nice of you.
Okay,
thank you, Animation God, for blessing me with your forgiveness.
For now. So for this one, I think we can call staging issues. But I think we would also call a good one for PL that, like, just the general idea and, the helmet cracking, all the design of the helmet, that was very cool. So those are the two calls. People might start getting bingo soon.
Are there any bingos? I'm
excited. There is.
Oh, there's a bingo.
Yeti.
Hey.
Good job.
Congratulations.
Okay, we're gonna keep going. You can work out the verification of said bingo with Tabitha / Veronica. They'll take you're in good hands.
Nice.
Okay, what's this one? This one is Kudasai.
Yeah, and is it unmuted for you? Just to double check.
It is unmuted for me.
Okay, let me hit play.
Let's watch that again. It's like so much to figure out.
There's a lot to take in.
There is. What the hell?
I love that walk at the end.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you guys noticed the Wando key instead of the Windows key.
Oh, no, I didn't notice that. It's funny. And internet down at the bottom right. Is that like a crack pipe? I
think so.
It's just like I like, not that I have any experience with crack, but I've seen enough movies.
I actually want to
animation
that.
Crack. I mean, wow. I don't even know where to even begin with this one. This one's on a whole other level of cerebral.
Yeah, it's definitely a very creative idea. It kind of goes to what you were saying earlier, where it's like you give these three ideas to people and see what they do, and the ideas are so different.
Yeah. Like it's like those three words seem to unlock provoke something very profound in this person, and we're left with this thing to try to decipher. I feel like there's a depth to this that I'm not fully appreciating yet. So I mean, I will I'll jump in here to start. I think that There, I mean, it's fun.
Do you want to
right?
start the timer?
Oh yeah, I can't do that. Did I do it once on my own? I don't
No,
think I did.
not
You're
yet.
5 for
You got
5.
2 more chances.
I'm about as good at starting the timer as I am dabbing. So like I don't know what it says about me as a human being, but it doesn't sound very good. All right, so I'd say that it is very out there, and I kind of like it. It's out there into the point where it's consistently out there, so I'm just left being entertained by your choices. Like I'm trying to figure out, like, is this like a dreamscape here? This is what he's dreaming about, or like he's daydreaming, and then because I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, so there's this, but then we cut to a shot of him collapsing at his desk.
Well, I'm assuming it's him animating for the challenge. And that what we're seeing is the Windows is why we have the Windows key and the internet.
When he opens up a file.
But I guess the issue that I'm having then is if like, why is it like this? This is the same character as it here. Like, I'm trying to, you know what I mean? If that's the case, then maybe, I don't know, or maybe that's the statement that's trying to be made here. I think that's my point. I think I would almost have to analyze this for maybe a couple extra days to figure out exactly what they're trying to say here. But I at the same time, I'm not bothered by it for some weird reason. I just kind of like the flow. I like this this collision here coming down with a nice amount of heft. There's a detail here that I really like. I like the fact that as that starts to happen, the chair pushes backwards. I think a lot of people would have not thought to do that because I feel like that is what happens. Like if you're on an office chair and you start to roll forward, to lean forward like that, the center of mass shifts to being out like on the front side of the chair, which would probably push the chair backwards a little bit. So I like that detail. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I like that as well.
There's something that bugs me a little bit about the way that the body is reacting. Like right now, like watch how soft the shoulders are. I feel like they would shoot down fast and then bounce up and recover. Like there's something weird about the way the body reacts when it hits a wall or hits a desk in this particular case.
Well, it looks like the shoulders are actually coming down faster than the body.
Rather than dragging
behind.
Right there.
And what's not helping that is the arms. It looks like their IK and the elbow PVs are spinning around backwards. They're kind of coming in.
I didn't notice that.
And that's what's really messing up the shoulders.
Yeah, because like that's the arm right here still, right? Over on the right-hand side. Yeah. Right.
You can see the hand.
Yeah, you're right. You can see the fingers still curled up in the reflection.
That's it. That now it's, you know what? Maybe that's intentional. Maybe we're supposed to feel the pain. This person really truly did collapse, but also kind of imploded at the same time. I don't know. I think that it's funny because there's a good sense of weight there, but then there's a bunch of overlapping stuff that's not quite where I think it needed to be. So I think that this shot was already a really good start, could go from good to great by just addressing some of those little things. And also it's the way that the head like ricochets. It's funny because one of the typical ways I see people dealing with bodies striking the ground because they fall or because they whatever reason they might actually be colliding with the ground. The way that a body reacts to the ground, you always have to remember that we are a set of, like, we're just a bunch of pivot points, right? And so when we strike the ground, there's a sort of like a linear velocity of striking the ground, but velocities have a tendency they want to continue, right? Momentum wants to keep going. The law of inertia is pretty much dictating that. It wants to keep going. And so what will happen is often linear momentums will get converted to angular ones. So a classic example, people will do these sort of like a foot that strikes the ground. And instead of like, I'll try to kick my foot up. This will be interesting. Here, let me do this. Watch this. This will be like a full demonstration. So a foot will come down and kind of bounce like this, point like this. When in reality, it will come down, strike a surface. Too bad my desk is just barely out of the shot here. Strike the surface, but then it tends to then roll out like this. Like it feels more like this because we're like a water balloon too, right? So there's a lot of dampening going on. We don't bounce like a bowling ball when we hit the ground. There's flesh and there's padding and so there's a sort of a softening to the landing, but also it rather than bouncing, it can keep going in the direction it wants, but it sort of turns into a twist on the limb. So the same thing would be true for like the neck and the head and other parts of the body here. So that it doesn't necessarily strike. The thing that I'm seeing here with this, let me switch back over to like this. When I see when I see that head strike, it strikes, but notice how it kind of just it
Stays
goes
there.
Yeah, it goes down. Then there's like a nice moment. It looks like it's gonna come back up and then kind of do like a wobble, but then it just sort of goes one frame up and then locks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's something like the relationship between the head and the table is a little soft, and I feel like you're kind of phoning it in here. When in reality, like it would be a much more of a complicated interaction there. And again, it would take the scene that already feels good and heavy and bring it to a whole other level of awesomeness.
Yeah. I actually had 2 notes I wanted to bring up. One is the eyes here. If you look at them, they move independently from each other. So like right here. So see how the one eye shifts? Well, actually they're both shifting, but one's more than the other. And then right here.
Oh, there it is.
See how
Oh boy.
that does not really happen. That feels very odd. So keeping in mind, and then after that, it kind of feels like the eyes are floating in the sockets. Like the head's moving, but the eyes are kind of floating inside, almost like they're disconnected from each other.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those little things where his focus doesn't really make sense, because one of those things when you're focusing is the closer something is, the more your eyes cross, the further it is, the more your eyes go further out. Yeah. And at the beginning, his eyes are wider when he's looking at the object that's close to him. And at this point, he's looking at an object that's further, but his eyes are further in. So it kind of feels like it's kind of backwards, that his eyes should be a little bit more, not quite as crossed as this frame, but a little bit more crossed at the beginning. And then he focuses out to the animation potion at the end, just a little.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, this is just kind of a nitpick, but the file name here, like it would not allow you to put commas and exclamation marks.
There you go.
Wait a minute, hold on a second. That was a Cameron comment, right? Cameron,
Yeah.
you're supposed to be the good cop. It's Bo that's supposed to be the random cop. That's a random cop comment. Come on, man.
No, I was
Play your
supposed to be the
role.
random cop. Bo is supposed to be the good cop. I'm chaos cop.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Did I get it all mixed up?
Yeah,
Oh,
he
man.
reversed it. But that's what the
Jesus.
bad cop would do.
Yeah, the bad cop would get it backwards.
That's it. Okay, I see where you're going with that.
Uh,
You're playing the long game. Yeah, that's funny. Grammar comment. You're gonna put text on the screen. Damn well get it right. Yeah, I mean, I would be remiss to not mention, because I've sort of, I've already shot some people down a little bit already a few times on these watch parties, is that when it's just, don't put a whole pile of text on the screen if you can help it. Like it's usually not the greatest option. Like,
Yeah, it's hard to read all of this in one go.
Yeah.
Especially when you're covering part of it.
See, I had just one note specifically right here, is I'm not quite sure what he's doing here. At first, I thought he was spitting at the paper. But then I think he's just breathing on it. He's just kind of pushing it,
But if that's the case,
blowing
then
away.
why the effect, right?
Yeah.
But not only that, but
and-
why are his lips like going like crazy?
Yeah, he's
guess.
doing that kind of just blowing out with the lips. But I think part of it is the effect looks watery versus airy.
Yeah, I agree.
So trying to get more like swirls of air, kind of watch Last Airbender, watch how they do like the effects of the air in there. That would help. But also the air is escaping his lips before his lips have opened. So if you wanted that blast of air, this would be a plosive, where the lips stay closed, then pop open. And then you'd see that of air come out, versus close, air comes out, and then the lips just kind of flap afterwards.
I would argue you just don't even need it.
Yeah,
I don't think you need the effect at all.
Exactly.
Because you read the wind from the mouth because of this crumpled piece of paper. It feels like an unnecessary layer, like, especially when you had such a little time to be spending your time on an effect like this.
Yeah.
Might not have been the best.
Well, the only thing that I would say with that is, because he has this effect, it kind of links them together, where you have like the breath out, and then like you can almost say it's like his animation soul escaping and then his new animation potion soul coming back in. Like, if it's going for that kind of symbolism, okay. but
The
I
effect has to be
like-
better.
the effect would have to be better. And even then, I don't think it's necessary because it just adds confusion, and we get the idea at the end there. So,
And just
The
one
character gets it too.
yeah,
one other thing just on that smoke is as he breathes out, it's such a dark gray that it looks like it's cigarette smoke rather than
Yeah.
like air.
oh yeah, that's true.
Like the color, it would need to be a whiter transparency.
Hmm.
This is my favorite shot. I just
Yeah,
love this so much.
I love it.
I don't know why.
It's so random.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those would be my main notes.
Yeah, same.
Cool. All right, let's call it dab time. Let's see if I can get it right this time. Ready? Gonna limber up.
Yeah, do your stretches.
Let me see you guys do it. Do it. Oh man, that's what I'm doing wrong. God.
Yeah,
I should just watch
yeah,
me
you were
better.
trying to do this.
I'm doing some weird thing like this. I'm going the opposite way. I gotta go like this. Oh God. Maybe see, you know what? Reference. I always preach about reference. Maybe I could have taken some reference out of the Pratt brothers rather than pretending I knew what I was doing. Well, we've learned something tonight. If anything, I've grown as a professional dabber, so that's good.
You know what we've also learned tonight?
What?
Animators do have legs.
They do. We do. It's true. Yeah. You don't always see them, but they're there.
Yep. Gotta get your animator leggies. Okay, so for this one, I think we can call breaking the rules in a good way. It's completely random, but there's just something so great about it. But we can also call problematic body mechanics for what you guys talked about with the shoulders and the heads and the weight. So
Yeah,
those, and I think this might be a good time to pause for a minute and
let people catch
people
up.
go through and catch up. And also, like, is there a way to make it bigger? Yeah, hopefully people can read that. So just a minute or two, and then we can get back to the reviews.
Yeah, exactly. We only have 2 more left, and we're doing well for time. So now's a really good time. Just take a small pause and you just go back and make sure you've already marked down all of the ones that have been called.
So how's everyone doing?
If do you guys like stuff? So if you already got a bingo, were you supposed to clear the card? Interesting.
I would assume so. Usually, when you play bingo, you clear the card, but I'm not sure what the exact rule is on
But
this.
if we cleared the card,
Yeah, I don't think
know
so
we've got
because
enough.
I think because what we used to do is we used to, like, when people got bingos, we would get a bunch of them, and then once we had enough of them, we then cleared everyone's cards. That's what we did on the first few bingos. And then people could build up towards another bingo. If you got 2 bingos, you get a shirt. So one thing that's different about this time around is if you get 1 bingo, you get a sticker. If you get 2 bingos, you actually get a sticker and a shirt. So I would say then don't clear your card at all. Just keep going. And if you get another bingo, like if you end up with 2 bingos, like 2 straight lines, then I say you got a double bingo. You like then that would you'd qualify.
Woodland
as a
Yeti
shirt.
did get another bingo, and this
It
is
is.
their
Yay.
third bingo.
Congratulations.
Holy crap!
They got a bingo at another stream, and now they have 2 here. So
That's too many bingos.
Nice.
You know, you should share some of your bingos with the rest of the class. Seems a little unfair that you have all the bingos.
Now,
ready to go back?
If they just fill the whole card, that'll be perfect. The ultimate bingo.
Yeah, that's it. I love Crabnuts is very curious because he's got so many bingos in the past. He really wants to know what a 3rd bingo will get you. And we're not even allowed to tell you. The 3rd bingo, it's like you'll know if you got a 3rd bingo. There'll be something special is going to happen, and we just have to, I don't want to reveal it. In other words, I have no idea. Okay, let's get back to the animations. So if you do have bingos, just go ahead and just follow up with Tabitha there in chat. She'll be able to verify and everything. And remember, if you do have a bingo, don't stress. We're recording. That's why it's important we have your chat name, because we're gonna reach out. We're gonna just reach out directly through the system. Like if you're on Twitch, we'll just reach out to you. We'll kind of direct message you there on Twitch, and then when we follow up on the prizes.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's it. I will bless you with one of my legs. The leg prop that I use. I will get. That's what you win. I'll send it
If
to you
it
in
was
the mail.
actually a leg prop, like just a fake leg and some pants in a sock, and it's like,
that, admit it. You'd be pretty impressed, chat, if I actually sent out like a leg, a fully functioning leg, not my leg, just some random leg. Okay, let's. On that thought,
yeah.
This whole thing got dark ever since there was like a person lying dead in a soup.
Also, timer.
Oh yeah, Jesus. Well, not yet. Oh, you just want me to reset it?
Yeah.
You try to trick me.
I was just reminding you early.
You're nice. That's very nice of you.
Nice. This shots are really cool.
It's very much
I love that eye.
It has, yeah, I was thinking the same thing, that Akira
totally.
vibe. Yeah. Really nice.
He's like, uh-oh.
Okay.
One of the things
who
I
wants
like
to-
the most
Yep.
is when that
Timer.
eye,
Oh.
when that eye starts to expand, it looks like it expands, but then it kind of presses up against the
Yeah.
actual, like that is such a
the
cool detail.
glass.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I would have appreciated the glass exploding at some point.
I was
like,
thinking the same thing.
it's like, it's such a cool detail, but then it sort of like, I don't really feel like there's a follow-up to that moment to really kind of sell it. Like right there, it's like,
Yeah,
everything, it's the whole thing is filled, and then
You can
and then
you
that's
can
when
kind
it
of
goes
see it right
completely
there.
wild.
Like
Oh yeah,
right,
okay, that's like, yeah,
just
okay,
a
you're right.
little bit, but
it
I
needs
think
to be more.
It needs to
Yeah.
be going up, like I need to see shards kind of like, oops, yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, it's okay. So
There
yeah, right there, exactly. If I saw shards kind of, oh boy,
Mhm.
that's interesting. Like if I saw them kind of up in this area, kind of shooting out like this, then
Yeah.
I would see it better. But they all shoot like so close to the edge of the frame, they're easy to miss.
Yeah, there's something to consider when animating is the safe zone around
Yeah.
your shot.
Yeah,
If you go right to the edge, it's an area where the viewer doesn't see
Yeah.
information. So if
It's
you're
no
having
man's
an
land.
important, essentially, if you're having an important action happen and it's right on the edge of the screen, chances are the audience won't see it. So you need to make sure that the glass breaking happens in the safe zone of your animation, of your screen space.
Let's see. One thing that this is something I always look for in shots whenever you have a big pose change. So you have kind of your first pose here, we'll call that the A pose. And then you have your B pose, the drinking pose. As he comes back, he's resetting right back into the A pose. If we go back and forth here, it's exactly the same, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it makes the shot feel less alive.
Yeah, it doesn't progress.
Kind of robotic. Yeah, so what I would love to see is an ABC progression, not an ABA progression. So it doesn't have to be much, but like as he drinks, maybe he just kind of leans back and you've got that kind of relaxed pose compared to the beginning where he's standing a little bit straighter.
Yeah.
Just some small variation. It doesn't have to be a totally new pose, but let us see a continuation of the story. If we're just resetting it, story-wise, it's not as interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it's especially because obviously something has changed because he just drank from this potion. So why land exactly in the same? Like, there's an opportunity to tell a story. How does he feel about having just drank all that potion? Like, is it without having any change? It sort of goes back to default, and we don't really have any kind of arc to the actual narrative.
Yeah. No, actually, let me see something here. Yeah, his helmet, he comes back, his helmet is closed. Then it looks like he hits a button on his shirt to close it. So it's closed, opens, closes.
Oh yeah.
That or it's open, but it looks like it's closed.
Yeah,
so you have to really make sure that
this
you
should be open here.
Yeah, exactly.
And then same with his hand, he reaches up at the button, then he goes down, and then he reaches up again. So the hand should be down here.
I think they copied the wrong pose.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
In their haste.
I love that reaction. That just, the side is right to the side there.
I get the feeling that overall, I don't know if you both feel the same way, but I feel like the whole thing, the timing feels a little long. Like the whole thing feels like it's like the rhythm feels.
Yeah, that drink could be a little quicker.
It just, I don't know. It just, the whole thing feels like it drags a little bit. And then, even this stuff, like there's something about it that feels like I would expect it to be more volatile, like as it's sort of like expanding, but the whole thing just kind of feels like if you watch it, it almost seems it has equal spacing. It's like frame, 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 rather than frame, like having some sort of erraticness to the transformation. Notice it's like almost even timing.
Yeah.
It loses a chance to be like dangerous and like totally out of control because it's super rhythmic. Yeah. Yeah, you could literally count the beats. It's like a drummer's rhythm there. It's like tip, 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 tip.
Yeah, you've got that metronome feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
All the actions happen: the drink, the helmet, the push. 1, 2, 3,
everything.
1, 2,
all
3,
on the same.
1,
exactly.
2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's almost always on
you're
the
right.
ones.
Everything, like when you do the 3 count, that's when it changes to the next beat.
Yeah. Rhythm is important, like because rhythm in a shot, like is something that can kind of energizes a shot, right? And you could use it to shift the timing to kind of have like a clearly, that the shot goes in a completely different direction. Like so, starting off with really nice even timing is fine, but I would if anything that might even work really well for you because you're trying to show kind of maintain some sort of you're establishing some sort of norm of like this is everything. Everything's okay. There's a pre-drinking the potion part of the scene, and then there's a post, and the feeling and the timing can really, and not right away. There'd be like a little moment there where there's like almost like a dramatic tension forming, and then once that transformation happens, I would imagine totally taking off in a different direction with the timing.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, just a note for anyone, like when you're doing your timing, when you are trying to plan it out, keep in mind that naturally we do have a natural timing to how we do our actions and even how we think of things, and it's based on our heartbeat. Your timing will be based on your natural rhythm of your body. It's why runners, when they want to get better performance, they will listen to faster music to get their heart beating faster. It makes their global timing faster.
The circadian rhythm.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're doing a shot, it's very easy to fall into that circadian rhythm where everything happens. Like we think we're just doing this, random time, and we're going to do this, just whatever is going to be totally random. But it always tends to end up following your own natural heartbeat. So watch out for that. Usually from what I've seen, a lot of people, it tends to be about like 30, 32 frames. Every beat happens every 30 to 32 frames based on that kind of natural rhythm. So just watch out for that. The other thing with this shot,
you didn't realize this was going to turn into a science class, did you, Chad? Welcome.
The joy of being an animator, you learn all sorts of weird things.
I'm with you. I say this all the time. It's one of my favorite things about being an animator is like the weird rabbit holes you'll go down, and you're like suddenly you're like you can compete with the really smart people in your family when you play Trivial Pursuit, and they're like, how do you know these things? It's, I'm an animator. That's why. We know weird shit.
I watch cartoons.
That's it. Exactly.
The other note that I had, since we're kind of talking about timing, is I would speed up the shot. Like right now we're watching the shot and it feels pretty good, but this is a 2x speed right now.
Yeah, that's it.
If we reset this back to
totally
regular speed,
super like it drags.
It's slow.
Yeah. It's it's not filled with time of like the only time I'd ever slow it down is after the drink to try to mess with us, because you're like,
have that little,
what's gonna happen? Yeah, exactly. Like
tasting.
Exactly. And it's sort of, you're setting it up to like, you're kind of creating contrast for what the explosiveness that will come next. And you're just creating tension because the audience is like, okay, where's the payoff? What's going to happen?
Yeah. This is actually something I highly recommend all of you do when you're doing a shot, is when you play Blast It and like you have something like Sync Sketch, try uploading it there, or if you have Keyframe MP or any of these players that can change the playback speed, try bumping up the speed a little bit. A lot of times when we think we've got like this really fast, like dynamic shot, if you double the speed, or like usually like 1.5s is pretty good, you'll watch it and it's like, oh, this feels pretty good. And then you'll go back to your original and it's like, oh.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
so
I agree with you.
boring.
It's the equivalent of looking at a drawing that you've been working on for 2 hours, and then you mirror
Yeah,
it horizontally,
flip
and
it.
you're like,
Mhm.
"Oh boy,
Yeah.
wow, yeah." There's some problems here. I just I kept glazing over them, but like, yeah, it puts you in a position where you get to see it with a fresh set of eyes, and then you realize that you could be pushing it a lot further. My favorite thing about the shot, hands down, is I just love how the whole like, I like how the transformation seems to be restricted to only the head, because at even
Yeah.
the end you can see this little body
Little
dangling
body.
around. Like, I don't know what I can't get enough of that. It's just so funny. It's the head,
Yeah.
only the head, that just completely deforms. I don't know. That's a
Yeah,
good choice.
It was very well thought out, and
Yeah.
even just like the way he falls over because of it.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
we were talking about like weight before and how it affects the character. It really feels like, oh, his head got heavier. It pulled him back. There's a cause and effect to the whole
Yeah,
thing.
pushes him back up.
Yeah. There's some good
Yeah.
choices in this. It's such a simple little piece, but it's entertaining as hell. So bravo.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
definitely a very nice piece. By the
Yeah.
way, you might have seen me get off camera for a minute. I was just practicing my dab off camera. So I knew that's probably what everyone thought I was doing. I wanted to confirm that's exactly what I was doing.
Gotta get that practice.
I have to, man. It's like everything's riding on it. Okay, good. So let's, speaking of dabs, let's see if I can get it right finally on the last one. Ready? Hold on. I got to do the whole thing here. Animation Bingo God. I've been practicing, and I think I'm finally ready. Hopefully I'm worthy. Please show up, because I can now finally do the proper dab. Are you ready? Am I doing it?
You
Did I
will
do it?
be spared for now, Brent.
Thank you.
Okay, so for this one, I think what we could call would be bad spacing / timing. But going to the point about how entertaining the shot is, I think we could go with "You've Got Style." Some really great
I like
choices
it.
were made.
I agree.
And also chat, to go with the trend that's going on there. If you get a bingo, tell us when you got it. It's Aladdin Turf kneecap.
I'm watching the chat to see if there's any new bingos, but it doesn't look like it.
No, they're too busy being disturbed by my dabbing ability. Joe Animates
I
is
think
like,
you mean
Brent's dab is so
impressed.
violent. If I don't know how to do something properly, I just make sure that I do it very violently. That way I distract you with my strength and my
Your
agility.
enthusiasm for it.
That's right, exactly. I might do it wrong, but I'll be damn well enthusiastic while doing it.
Yeah, there you go. A good way to
We
live
need
life.
that as an emote. Oh, that's a good idea. It's just Brent, my terrible dab. It's like Elaine dancing on Seinfeld. It's just a mess. Oh God. I want to be famous on the internet is because of my terrible dab. Okay,
Yeah.
this is the last one for the night. It's funny how quickly time goes when you're doing animation bingo. So this one is Panda Can Fly. I don't know if this was a solo or do you remember? I don't know.
I believe this one was a.
I can't remember now. I'm
okay.
thinking solo, but
Trying to think which category in the playlist it was in. I think it's solo. I think you're right there.
Sounds really well done.
Yeah, this is
good.
really well done. I love the effects.
Yeah, exactly.
Hand smears.
It's got all the things. There's a giant here. There is space, and there definitely is a potion at the beginning. So check all those boxes.
Nice. Okay. So who wants to start?
You want to start?
Okay, I've got some notes.
Actually, before you start, your
Yes,
7
timer.
7.
Damn it!
Yeah. The last one. We were hoping.
know,
We were giving you
I
a
know.
chance.
We were padding it out and waiting.
Hey, look, it's all about consistency, fellas. All right. I didn't want to like throw everybody off. I want to make sure that I maintain a consistent approach to my terrible timing, my terrible job.
So okay, timer started. So the first note I would have is not a major one, but something I would recommend is you've got the orbits of all of the planets, all of these spatial bodies going around the sun here. And only one of them is at a slight angle. Everything else is on a flat plane. And it kind of feels weird to me. It almost feels too perfect. Like if this is space and there's supposed to be like the volatile nature of space and planets, it would be cool to see a little bit of offset. Not much. So this one still stands out a little bit. But if there's just like a few different angles to these circles to make it feel like an actual kind of orbit, it's feeling flat, I guess you could say. The other note kind of on that, I just want to mention, I love how as he moves this, the hand is leading the planet. It's not like tied and doesn't feel like it's just constrained and he's following perfectly. Yeah, like right here, you feel a hand lead and then it goes up.
Yeah.
You get a nice little overshoot. Yeah, exactly. It feels really good. And I love how you can still see the bottle just floating around back there. Totally. With the bottle,
space trash.
Yeah. With the bottle, if this is floating in space, keep in mind that the momentum is going to be pretty consistent. It's not going to slow down. It looks like your tangents in the graph editor are plateauing right at the end. You're probably using auto tangents, and they're kind of flattening out because the bottle is slowing down and comes to almost a complete stop right at the end there. So just keep that going like at a linear line right at the end. Very minor note there.
Oh yeah, it's true. It kind of freezes at the end.
Yeah. Even this planet freezes right there.
I can't help. Oh yeah, it's funny. It must have been like they just set a bunch of keys for the end and then forgot to set the tangent to linear or something. I can't help but think about what happens to the poor people on the planet Earth while they're thrown around space. I'm like, suddenly found I felt thousands of people cry out in pain. You see all these little specks flying off the planet afterwards. Exactly.
That'd be horrible.
I told you, it's all because of that potion. We went down a dark path. There's no turn.
I really like those motion.
Smears. This is my favorite moment right here. This motion to kind of do this kind of Tai Chi thing into this final like kind of Zen pose. I think is really cool. And those smears really help it. I'm curious. I guess this was done maybe in post. Is that what happened? And did someone go? They probably just drew those in After Effects or something.
I would say it could be done either After Effects or like if they're using Blender, they could be using the grease pencil.
Oh, right. They could just sort of do a little layer on top.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think this rig is available in Blender, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong.
It's an old rig.
Yeah.
The brush.
It's definitely not the Maya grease pencil.
Yeah. Actually, could it be? I think one of the grease pencil settings does have that kind of like chalky look. Because you have like 3 different ones.
I don't think so personally, but to be fair, the grease pencil keeps crashing on mine, so I haven't used it in a while. One thing I love the overall. You first, Cameron.
This is the Earth, but like there's all these like cloud bits like floating outside of the atmosphere.
Yeah. I think it's fun because it's kind of a fun abstraction, but I think what bugs me is that they feel parented to the I feel like they would at least feel like they're drifting at a different speed or something.
There's a little plane.
I know. I noticed that too. That's cute. That's a very big plane.
I think what would help is if like there was the moon like out further like there just so you get a sense of the scale, because when I first looked at it I thought it's like, oh, this must be the moon, but then there's like 3 others and oh wait, that's a plane. So it with how far they are out from the planet, it kind of made me think like, why are there 7 moons? It's true. That's
there's a missed opportunity there too. Like he could have created the planet Earth like this, and then maybe I'd like pulled out of his pocket a little moon, and then sort of dropped it in there, and it started orbiting around. Just like because I like this idea that it gives you this feeling of like this is the beginning of time, and like this godlike figure. Maybe is Animation Bingo God? Is that you? Maybe that's her true form. And as they're placing all these little bits and pieces into the solar system, it'd just be kind of fun if all the little bits were kind of, they were all accounted for,
Yeah, it would be nice if like they put the Earth in place and then it's like, oh, pick it out of their pocket and
almost
like
forgot
do a little
something.
like
Exactly.
flick, kind of like that, fling,
Exactly.
and just see it shoot off and then go boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
in place.
exactly. They're looking at it kind of like there's something missing. I was like, oh, wait a minute, I don't know.
Again, very nitpicky.
Yeah. It's the end of the show. We're gonna get like that.
2 quick notes I would have is when he's drinking the potion, make sure it's going into the mouth, which would be about here, and not on the
That's
chin.
true. That's true.
It starts off beverages on my chin.
Yeah, that's it. You just absorb fluids directly from the pores in your chin. Is that how it works?
Yes.
Oh.
That's what the
store them in the beard. And then as he pushes the planet here, he's kind of pushing it with the elbow, which kind of feels a little weird. Like right here, he's leading with the arm, but
it looks like he's trying to do it with his arm, or his hand, but. Yeah.
Which is if the planet's there and you do want to kind of get that feeling, what I would try to do is maybe more of that kind of basketball thing where they roll it off of their arm and then flick it. So you could do something like where you don't have to get it to push with the hand, but just have fun with the arm motion.
Well, I think what it's supposed to be doing is like how he's controlling it around here. He's not actually using his limbs. It's just the delay, but the delay is causing it to touch his arm. Because he's moving the hand first, and then it moves after. And I think
so that maybe if he gestured above it or something, just so just making choices that don't kind of feel like inconsistent. I guess.
Yeah, maybe. You don't want to tangent it. Like if he did an underhanded swipe below it, and then it went.
So underhand would
underneath
work as well.
Yeah, because it doesn't really feel like it's contacting here.
Yeah, that's it. It's sort of like it's in that dangerous territory of like, okay, is it like what was really intended here? Is it like, are you trying to make it feel like it rolls off the hand, or were you not? Like, keep it consistent with how all the other little manipulations sort of work. That way, it'll people won't be left kind of asking whether that was a mistake or not.
Yeah. One thing I do want to say is I love the animation on the legs. It's super subtle. It's not doing much, but just seeing that little bit of floating and just adjustment, it just feels really cool. There's just enough keep alive that the shot doesn't feel dead, but it's not taking away.
Totally. It's not like stealing any glory.
Yeah, like right here, the way they kind of tuck up right after the planet gets created, it's so nice.
Very appealing.
Yeah.
And they're overlapping nicely as well. They're not just moving evenly together.
I really like this moment right here. Let me, if I can drive for a second. Right here when he or she. I like these little looks right here. I really like these little gestures. Like I don't see any face. I don't see any eyes, but I totally see it. Like I can read exactly what this character's thinking and looking at, which is really nicely done, super subtle, nice timing on it. Like it kind of feels like, wait, hold on a second. No, that something's not right.
Nice snap over here.
Yeah, it's nice. It feels it's got nice weight, and you could see those little details in the legs. Like those legs are influenced by those movements. They're just it doesn't feel like they're influenced a lot, but you do feel like those legs are connected to those little movements, which helps sell the whole thing. Okay, well, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to call it. I think this. We all seem to agree that this is a very nice piece. It really is. It's got all the things. There's not really much to criticize about it, to be honest. There's a bunch of little nitpicky things that we're sort of dwelling on because there's there's nothing else. Like, I mean, the animation's good, the timing is good. Like really, really nice work. Really, really good.
Yeah, agreed.
Even the background stars, like they're not creating weird tangents. They're nicely spaced. They feel like stars, even though they're 3D shapes.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice stylization on them.
Good choices all around. It fits. Okay, cool. So for the last dab of the evening, I guess we're going to go ahead and try it one more time. All right, here we go.
I've just gone ahead and done it.
Both sides.
I don't know which direction I like to do better. I like them both. Because you got to go. You got to kind of get up. Those arms got to go up. That's the perfect dab.
Get that angle.
That's it. The angle. It's all about the angle. Did it work? Did we summon her?
I have returned
Oh, there she
for
is.
one last time. So for this one, I think we can call great timing. Excellent story. And since it's the last one of the night, we're going to do 3 dynamic poses. So all green for that one. If people still need to get caught up on their cards, the calls are on the left-hand side. Let me just get the layout so it's a little bit more legible. And if you have any bingos, then this is the final call for the night. So get them in chat and you'll win some stuff.
You heard it. You heard it directly from the mouth of the animation god herself. If you, oh wait, I guess I should leave that up just so you can double check the actual the calls. So yeah, I guess we can wrap things up. I'm going to give a little bit of time there in chat to sort of get things sorted out. So hopefully people had fun. Hopefully this is not getting old, the animation bingo thing. If you have some feedback on animation bingo, if you like it or if you don't like it, then let me know all about it. You can also, if you want, tell me, give me a professional critique on my dabbing ability. That's okay too. Yeah. So thanks for showing up, Mr. Cameron and Mr. Bo Pratt. That was it was awesome to have you here yet again.
It's always our
Hopefully-
pleasure.
Hopefully, it never gets old when you say things at the same time. I think hopefully you will humor me the next time I summon your wonderful personalities to yet another crazy idea. I don't know what the
Most
next one's going to
definitely.
be, but we'll come up with something fun. Keep everybody.
Yeah,
on
if
their
ever
toes.
you have some room for us, we'll be here.
I like it. Yeah, I don't know what the next one's gonna be. I have to kind of dig deep into my. I don't know. Maybe I'll let the community decide what the next one will be. I was joking around. Like the next one could be like Animation Hangman. Like we could bring back all the classics.
Yeah,
Something funny. Yeah, I don't know. So okay, so I will see you both off because I don't want to steal any more of Friday evening from you that I already have. But thank you very, very, very much. The whole night I've been having a hard time speaking, but. I blame the vaccine. That's what I blame. I blame I have vaccine brain right now. So thank you both very much, and we will all see you around. Chat. Wish our friends Bo and Cameron off, if you don't mind.
Thank you very much for having us.
It's been a lot of fun.
Cheers, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care.
Okay, so I guess you've had enough time to figure out whether you have a bingo or not. If you have not, then try to do it really, really quick. Do I need to bring that back up, or are you guys good? Everyone's good? We got it all clean and settled at the end of the night? Okay, perfect. Good. So, yes, thanks again for Cameron and Bo Pratt. It's always fun to have them on. The very, very, very lovely individuals. Always have a fun time goofing around and nerding out about animation. So, I think that what you'll see is we're trying to create this thing that I keep calling the Agora Collective, and I think whether Bo or Cameron will like it or not, they've kind of got roped into that. It's the idea that there are people out there that stream like regularly, like Sir Wade, like the Pratt brothers, and many, many others that I'm trying to find interesting ways of having us have fun together online and do some collaborative stuff. So this was sort of one of the first attempts at doing something like that, but I'm sure we can come up with all kinds of other really cool things that we can do. So pay attention, because I think the live format is the best way of doing that. And who knows, maybe we'll even do some things that aren't live down the road. If you have suggestions, then let us know. You know where to find us. You know where to find me. You can always find us on the Agora Discord. You can also find me on my own Discord. But don't be shy. If you got suggestions on the kind of content you'd like to see, then let us know, because there's one way to find out whether it could be done or not. And I think really there's so many possibilities here. So I think that we can probably make most of those things happen. So just send us a message and let us know what you're thinking. So other than that, have a wonderful evening. I think there's one of these bingos left. It is going to be on Sunday night, and it is with JD and Sir Wade. So if you are looking for a scratching that final itch on your animation bingo needs, then that's where you're gonna have to do it. And until we have another challenge, we have lots of animations to go through or something. All right. So hopefully I'll see some of you then. Cheers and have a good night.